Hello everybody, Jen with Scrapping Under the Influence. I am here with a new project for Doodlebug Design. So this week I am working with Monster Madness. So that is a collection that came out in 2022. As you know, Doodlebug didn't release a new Halloween collection this year, so we're getting to revisit some of the awesome past year collections, and I got this one. I was thrilled. I had bought this paper when it came out and never had a chance to really do anything with it, so the fact that I got to play with it officially, like, just made my day. So what I have here is a 5x7 mini album. There are 4 pages. I used the little door cut file from Lori Whitlock, and instead of cutting the little monsters that are on the cut file itself, I used doodle pops to have them peeking out of the door. So it's got an 1.5 inch spine, and then I did a little scene on the back side of it. When you open this up, as you can see, we have monsters peeking out every which way. So lots and lots of space for pictures in this one for as small as it is. There will be a free cutting guide on my website. I will link that down below, along of course with the tutorial that you obviously are watching. So what I kind of wanted to do with this is carry that door theme all the way through, like you're in the haunted house with the monsters. So each page is the same. So you've got a little door flap here, and then you've got an insert that pulls out, which I didn't mat right here because I really didn't think it needed it. A little insert that pulls out that's got those monsters like peeking out from behind their next door. So as we continue on through, there's only one little, because I did put his candy on here. I have candy left over from one of the doodle pops that I meant to put around by his feet and I forgot. Next one, we've got our little orange door, and we've got our insert again, and this one he's kind of hanging upside down off the spider web. Catching on something there. On the next one, I've got our last little pink door, and we've got the little ghost with the candelabra because I had to use him. I had to. And a couple more little monsters. And then that is, of course, the odds and ends piece that I used for the cut file, and that was the overall inspiration for the entire project. So that is the project. It is super simple. It goes together really, really quickly. Like I said, there will be a free cutting guide on my website, which will be linked down below, and let's get into it. Okay, so for the front of the album, we are going to make the door with the SVG file from Lori Whitlock, okay? So what I did, rather than cutting, I didn't cut the cat, the spider, or any of the monsters or the ghost, because we're going to use doodle pops for the monsters. I don't know that I'm going to use him because he'll kind of get lost up in that window, you know, and he's a shaker, so we kind of don't want to get him lost. But what I'm going to do is we need to cut this off. We need to cut the cat off. What I did is I cut this out of lightweight chipboard just to make it sturdy because it is going to stand up over the top of the album. Cut the black layer twice, and then I just cut the pieces for the door and the door frame itself. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and layer the door frame pieces on, and then we'll use that as our guide to trim this top part off. So I used the purple cardstock that is in the coordinating solids for Monster Madness, and then I went through my scrap drawer where I keep all of my Doodlebug scraps from doing this exact same type of thing, and pulled out some other shades of purple for the rest of this. So all I'm going to do is just right along the edge of that roof line, I'm going to cut the poor little kitty off. Goodbye, little kitty. And then same thing with our little spider here, because we don't really need either one of them. We just want the door. So next little piece goes partially on top of that little eave. Like so. Actually, not even on top of it, like right underneath it. And then this one will go underneath that. However, I am going to grab my odds and ends because we are going to find a ghost of some kind. Maybe we won't like the ghost. Maybe we'll do it with... No, we do not have a ghost on the icons, do we? We don't. So, I don't think I've got another one. He's not going to be big enough. Okay, so we're going to get this little guy right here, and I'm going to line him up kind of behind there, and I'm just going to mark about where I need to trim him off. Okay, and it doesn't have to be exact. We're just going to trim the bottom part of that off, and then I'm going to glue him on the back side. Okay, so we're still getting our little ghost, peeking out the top here. Really carried away with glue in a couple of places, so we're going to kind of get that. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and glue this whole piece down. Now for the actual door itself, it's got some little decorative pieces that are going to go on there, and goes up there, comes down like so. And we have our little threshold piece, which is the lightest purple. That's going to go down there. And then we've got the actual door, which is kind of skinny because it's supposed to be like partially open because you've got your monsters peeking out of that. So I'm going to go ahead and get my tweezers. I'm going to get my little glass board and I'm going to squeeze a little bit of glue out onto it so that I can tap these pieces into it to pick up glue on the back side without making a gigantic mess. Okay. And again, I don't know if Tailored Expression sells these or not. I think they do. But that came in their advent calendar last year and I use it so much more than I would have ever imagined. But that's okay. You can also do this same little trick on like a piece of packaging. So if you've got like the plastic, you know, that your odds and ends, or really even the back, like one of the Doodle Pop bags, you can do the exact same thing on that. And then when you're done, you can just throw it away. Okay. I am going to have to get some, okay, and that's good. I am going to have to get some, find just my beetle black shape sprinkles for my doorknob on this one. Okay, so this technically would sit right there and then your monsters are going to go in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open these guys up and kind of figure out who I want where. Because I don't have the exact same monster Doodle Pops. I could go through my monsters in the odds and ends and probably find some that'll work, but I really want to use the Doodle Pops, and then I can use the little extra pieces from the Doodle Pops around the window frame and then on the front of the book as well. So we're going to go with this little guy right here. And what we're going to end up doing is, let me pop him back up, because I will glue him so that he stays put. Yeah, so I'm going to kind of put his little hand back behind there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and get foam tape, and I think I want like normal thickness foam tape for this. So I've got some foam tape strips that I typically use for cards, but they work really well for this kind of thing too. Okay, so it needs to be about right there. These are the Tailored Expressions ones that are like super insanely sticky, so I gotta be a little bit careful here. So this is gonna go like so. This little guy is gonna kind of come like this. You may have to trim off his little hand, but we can figure that out. Okay. We're gonna put our little purple guy next. Again, then do I want him up there, or do I want one of those little ones? Where'd my little ones go? I had a whole other small thing of like tiny monsters, like little bitty monsters. Where'd they go? I've lost them somewhere in this disaster that is my desk, because that's how this always seems to go. Put this on top of it. No, I don't know where I put them. I literally just had them. Go flying off my desk on the other side? No. Okay, well, this is insane. All right, let me figure out what I did with those. I'll be right back. They were stuck to my foam tape. Okay, so I think we're going to use one of these guys. Well, or, oh yeah, I think I like that better. Then one of those guys. That's exactly how we're going to do this. Okay, so this needs to go here. Kind of want him back like that. So I am going to commit a horrendous act here, and I'm going to cut off part of my doodle pop. Okay. His little arm should be okay. Okay. All right, so that's going to work like I want it to. So we are going to turn our door the right direction and put that down. Okay. So let's figure out which one of our little guys is going on here. And I think I want this little green guy. Okay. So he is going to go up here at the very, very top. Okay. So I got that. Okay, so he's going to go like that. And then I think I'm actually going to use the little yellow guy too. I think he's going to kind of just sit like so. Okay. For him, we're going to cut off his little hand. And then glue him down. Okay. And then this guy is going to sit down like like so, and that will work. Alright, so then this is going to be all set and ready to go as soon as we get the rest of the book finished. Okay, so of course you can decorate this however you choose, but my whole plan is for each one of these little flaps that's on top of this pocket is to make it into a little door, much like this one. Obviously we're not going to do that little top thing, but we want a door because we're going to put monsters on our insert that are going to be kind of peeking out the side here, okay? And then underneath, of course, you have space for pictures. I did use tiny magnets, like 1/4-inch magnets. To hold those closed, you could use ribbon, you could just leave them and just burnish them really well, and that would work as well. But to give them some contrast, I am going to ink, and I'm going to do my doors green, so like the limeade, bubblegum, tangerine, and not lemon, bumblebee. And I was like, what is the other bright yellow? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of ink blend the edges of my cardstock to give it some depth. Okay. Like so. So this is 3 5/8 by 6 5/8, and then I've got my panel pieces, which I could just turn them over. They are enough of a contrast, I think, but I'm going to ink blend these as well. Okay, and these are 1 1/4 by 4. And then my bottom ones are 1 1/4 by, I think, 1 1/2. Yes, 1 1/2. To make the panels on the door. And then we're going to use the Halloween Assortment Sprinkles for our doorknobs. Okay, ooh, that one got blended really nicely. The side because I'll do the exact same process for the other ones. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and glue this on, and then front, back, inside cover again are just going to be another photo spot. The back sides of the pages are just going to be another photo spot. So we're not getting super fancy or super complicated with this one, but we're giving it some character to go with those super cute monsters in this collection. Okay, so these are going to go on top. However, I am going to pop those up with thin foam tape, which I apparently have misplaced because there it is. Is that it? That'll work. Okay, so just some thinner than I normally use foam tape. I'm going to put that on there, like so. Honestly, you could probably pop the entire door up if you wanted to. It wouldn't hurt anything. But I'm not getting that crazy with this. Alright, so we're going to take both of these like so. So let me put one down. Just to kind of figure out my spacing. so. And then I will take my sprinkles and I will go ahead and do the same color knob, although I could do a different color. I think I'm going to do the same color. I'm going to use the biggest sprinkle and put it about where a doorknob would go. Okay, so now we've got our door, we've got our insert, and our pocket, and then we've got a big photo spot on the back of each page. So I will just do the same thing on the rest of the pages, and other than that, mat and decorate to your little heart's content, and there you go. That is the project. So as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. If you want to get notified when I post new projects, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And I'll be back again soon with more fun stuff.